Chairman, I have 9 o'clock.
Very good. If you all please stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome to this regular meeting of the Pipestone County Commissioners. This is May 9th. It's 9 o'clock. Serving today as Commissioner Lou Johnson, Commissioner Doug Megan, Commissioner Dallas Oskamp, myself, David Overbooth. Commissioner Chris Hollingsworth was unable to be with us today. Also serving today, we have our Administrator Steve Ewing and also our HR Director, Kathy Fest. Welcome. You all received a copy of the agenda. The agenda was posted online as well too. Are there any adjustments or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I have several, please.
Okay.
On the consent agenda, item number 2, auditors warrants, please change the date from 5/3/23 to 5/5 of 23. On the auditors warrants.
5
To 5, yeah, from 5/3 to 5/5. That's the date on the warrant list I have for that. Item 3, commissioners warrants. We have add-on warrants this morning of $45,573.91, $45,573.91. Moving down to 10 a.m. Amanda Sandy will not be with us this morning to talk about the property tax abatement request. So Chris McChesney, assessor, will be presenting that at 10 o'clock. And as noted on there, the new home tax abatement public hearing for Keith Riemann and Derek Clark has been canceled. Okay. At 10 a.m., please add Kyle Creer. He'll be down to present the One Watershed, One Plan resolution, which I added into your packet. So that'll be an action item. That'll be a resolution to take. Under other business, Kathy reported she has no personnel items today, so you can scratch that from the list. And lastly, under other business, the RCRCA Joint Powers 2-year agreement. Kyle will present that agreement for action as well when he's here for the One Watershed, One Plan. So he'll take care of both of those items for you. And with that, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else in additions, corrections? Hearing none. Also, you received, we'll take action on that. So I'll take a motion for the agenda. Okay, thank you, Doug. Or thank you, Dallas. Moved and seconded for the agenda changes. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Okay, and then the consent agenda will take all together. And so we've got the approval of minutes from the last meeting of 4/25/23. You see the copy of that. In fact, that changed through that. Also, the auditor warrants, and as you notice, the change on the date with one auditor warrant from 5/3 to 5/5. And then the addition warrant for the $45,573.90. Also, the hospital warrants of $371,227.81, and the treasurer's report from April.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
Thank you, Luke. Support. Thank you, Dallas. Moving second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. Okay, at this point, Chris is with us. Chris, it's our great pleasure to be able to swear you in to administer the oath of office. If you step over to the podium for me, please. Chris, if you raise your right hand. I, Chris Jesse, do swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Minnesota. United States. And that I will be diligent, faithful, and impartial in the performance of my duties of the office of county assessor for the county post. There you go. In the state of Minnesota, to the best of my judgment and ability in accordance with the law. In accordance with the law. Very good. You are duly sworn in. Thank you so much, Chris. We certainly appreciate it.
Hey.
you want to take a quick picture yet, too, we got a minute, we'll do it later. Chris, why don't you get back up? Thank you.
Awesome.
Very certainly blessed and grateful that you decided to take on some extra responsibilities. It's a big job, but you're up to it. I know you are. Very good. Then the next item on there then is a report from Nick Berg, the county engineer. Nick, if you come forward, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great. First up for me today is project updates, and the only update I have is for our 2023 overlays, and that project started yesterday. We're down in Island doing some milling, and we started paving on Highway 75 heading west. So hopefully in 2.5 weeks, depending on weather, they're all done with that. So,
Then they're going to be working with Village of Island as well, too.
yes.
Same time.
Yep. They wanted to kind of piggyback off our contract and pave their streets. They're paying for that mix, not us, but going through our contract enabled them to get I think save quite a bit of money.
That's nice. When we can cooperate.
Yeah. Yep, and I like doing that with all the small cities whenever I can, so. Yep. Next item would be our 2023 maintenance striping. We got 2 quotes this year. I would recommend going with the low bid of Traffic Solutions of $47,122.64. As you, excuse me, as you'll see, we budgeted $35,000 for that, but that number is kind of like some years are bad, some years are good. So that's kind of a middle of the road number, and our state aid maintenance pays for that anyway, so it doesn't affect our levy. But if you happen to remember that number from the approved budget, you will know that this the cost this year came in over that budget. Some years is lower too. So I'll probably be looking at upping that going forward, just because I don't know how much everything shot up over the last year. But I guess no need to panic from like a levy standpoint, state tax.
Make a motion to approve the 2023 disposal.
Second, thank you. Any further questions, discussions, any further description?
Oh, no, it's just our normal maintenance striping, like to give you an idea of how we do it, it's not anything too scientific, like
You're not grinding in stripes anymore. That wasn't cost effective. Sometimes.
some people do it. I had a bad experience with it once, so I might be a little scarred. What happened with me is I was got on a freshly paved road that was just ground in, and it was raining out. And I feel like the rain kind of sat in that trench, and I couldn't see the stripes at all. And so so I get one that probably lasts longer because of the snow plowing. It's probably working the normal condition. I almost feel it's worse. It's raining, but that was just my experience. Maybe
No, I'd have to concur with that, especially if you weigh out the cost of the additional higher cost of covering versus painting more often. So. Yes.
We're gonna we have to keep up on striping because the newer vehicles are using those for lane. So that's the point. Absolutely. And it's gonna be more and more.
Yep. And if we want to do that, I think our policy says it's roughly every 3 years. We could up that to every other year too. You know, I don't see a problem with that.
So, we're trying to adjust your budget a little bit.
It would cost a little bit more to do that, but if that's where transportation is going, then maybe we can look at that. But like, for example, these roads, I took a map of all the paved roads and I scratched off all of them that were paved and striped last year and all the ones that were gonna be paved and restriped this year. And I went and drove every other mile that's left on the map. Sometimes they look good for a while, sometimes they wear off right away, kind of depends on plowing and traffic. Like curves might get a little bit more attention just because how people kind of float around them, you know, and they need a little to be striped around them.
Just a question now. All of our blacktops, do they all have a fog line? You know, he's talking about the lane departure on cars, but they don't all have fog lines, do they?
We don't. We do a center line on our seal coats. There's a few roads where we do a fog line right away, but the seal coats tend to be dirtier and it peels off right away.
That's where the lane departure levels, we talked
Yeah.
about, they need that fog line.
Right, yeah, my vehicle I just bought less than a year ago has the same thing, works the same way. But, so we haven't been doing the white edge all the time on the seal coats, we come back the next year and do it. But if it's this lane departure thing, you'd prefer that we,
Do they all have a fog line? I thought there was some with traffic count for a fog line, or do they all have fog lines?
think. I don't remember any that don't, but I'm not saying that isn't the case, but
Years, you know, maybe more.
maybe that's an older thing, yeah, yeah. Is that something you'd like us to do, just even on our seal coats? Paint the white edge, knowing it'll probably have to be redone the following year.
How much additional cost as this technology evolves, will probably more and more of this, I would imagine the state will probably come down some more stringent guidelines on fog lines or not.
It's more expensive than you think per mile.
Oh, well, no.
Yeah, I think it's 8 cents per foot. So that'd be per side, so if that's 16 cents per foot times 52 feet. We're looking at $850 a mile.
How many miles was this near that we approved here?
I don't remember on this one, it fluctuates so much every year. I'm just referring to the seal coat road, so
Oh,
it'd be an extra $850 a mile.
now you're trying to.
To have it for that year.
47,000 miles, I thought it was.
I don't remember 40 something, I'm guessing, maybe closer to 50. They told me the number, but I forgot, it fluctuates so much.
Probably at this point, just stay aware that there could be some upcoming changes on that.
Yep.
Applications.
Yeah, we're open to doing it. I'd just say like it's about a guaranteed thing. If we stripe the white edge the first year, it's gonna need it again the second year, just because of how dirty that rock is.
Okay, well, we do have a question on the floor. We've got a motion and a second for it. So all in favor of approving the maintenance striping contract? Aye. You opposed? Same. Passes unanimously. Thank you.
All right, next up for me, believe you all have hard copies of our annual report. Not sure if you've had time to look at it yet, but if you have any questions now, I can try to answer them now. Otherwise, usually I bring this back the following month because I usually don't have all the answers.
No,
That's the
that's
accountant.
nice. Give us a chance to digest with it and so forth. Anything that stands out, we should look forward to, we cruise through this.
So 2 things I wanted to bring up. On the page for the annual summary of highway information, looks like this, it's got my signature and the state aid engineer signature on it.
Is there a page number?
No, there's not a page number on that, but it's in the front, it's in the forward. Right, it's right behind the index.
Okay, got it.
If you look at that chart, the bottom line says adjustment to equalize depreciation. That's the number we have to use to make the equipment rental match what it actually costs us. And we've had that number, I believe, up to, I think that's been a 6-figure number before. And looking at this, I worked with Leslie last year to adjust those and try to dial them in. I'd call that this a bullseye, so that's pretty cool if you don't see that. But, So, if you remember over the past years, you'll see that number is a lot less than it has been in the past. That just means we got, I like to say with that, we probably just got that lucky, but maybe a little of each. So that's one comment, you can see that big difference. Then the next would be page 7. We added a couple more charts there. I think we had the wheelage tax detail last year, that's a life history of everything with the wheelage tax, everything we brought in and everything we spent that money on. I do see this second from the bottom, there's a typo. You see roadway centerline tile, you see County Road 61 entered twice. The first one is actually County Road 61, the bottom one is County Road 73. That's just a typo on our side. But the cost is about the same anyway. So then the middle chart is new. That's that local levy from that old hospital loan. Just kind of showing you what we have there. Granted, this is the end of 2022, so there's also some money coming in for 2023. So, and then the bottom table, that's I kind of forgot about that. Leslie brought that up. We got some money, if you remember, for the road use, so she thought it was good to show that. She was ready to say that, so that's kind of a history of that road life consumption. Looks like there's about $286,050 left in there. I think as of right now, what we plan on doing is we plan on spending probably most of that on that overlay on County Road 16 heading north out of Holland. They use that road for the wind tower stuff. So I mean, to me, it would be logical that we would spend that road use consumption on that road. So we'll spend probably the most of it on that, and then I'm thinking we might crush some extra gravel at some point with the rest of it and put on some of the gravel roads up in that area. So I do have a plan for that money. It just seems like since it came in for those roads, we should spend it on those roads. So that's our plan. So that one will be, I think, zeroed out in a couple of years here. So whenever we get that overlay down up there, that one will probably be zeroed out. We'll probably show it one more time, you know, that it's at 0. Then that one will go.
Very good, yeah.
Yep.
So if you guys want to take a couple weeks to digest this, and then Nick, you can put you on the agenda, then have to come back and discussion on this.
Yeah, I can come back in 2 weeks, and then if you need more time, I can bring it up after that too.
Yep.
Sounds great. Then any specific maintenance updates as well, do you want to highlight for us?
Yep, we used all of our leftover crack sealant, and then we've used a portion of that new order. Not sure exactly how much. I know we tapped into that already though. All of our snow removal is taken off. I think it's time, so felt like the year was never going to end, but
And again, our gravel roads actually fared out pretty well this spring after all. Who was off?
yeah, I would have lost a bet on that.
Yeah.
And then my last update item, you know, we're still short of mechanic. We've had to bring a few trucks in for repairs, so I think you've probably seen some of those bills come in already, but there's a couple more coming. We won't be able to, even when we get a mechanic, we won't be able to do everything, but we'll be able to do a lot more like this, so.
Maybe think also talk about tenant work, you know, our snow blowers then from last winter. So you got a plan going into next winter. You got some things you gotta do to upgrade some of that, or
We're going to look at, we'll get, I don't know if you've seen the state setup, but they have a tractor with a front mount snow blower. It's not as big and heavy duty as what we have, but we don't always need our big ones. So we're gonna look at possibly doing that with our new mower tractor.
okay, that's right. You mentioned that.
Yeah, we'd have to,
Pete's Go style.
Yep, we can add a PTO to the front of ours, we can retrofit it, I guess. So John Deere told us, so we're gonna get numbers on doing that, so.
But that's not budgeted for this fiscal year, is it? You'll have to do that next one, or you got some money for equipment.
I feel like there was some. I can't remember how I had that planned out, and we talked about this a couple months ago in the thick of it, but. I think we had some, but I thought we were budgeted a little bit more than we could get there, so. And then hopefully it sits and collects dust.
That's right, absolutely. Very good.
So
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I did want to know road persons.
they're off.
They are on. Yep, didn't see that.
Yep, they, Rock County pulled theirs last Friday. Let's see, then I think they told me that on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, the state sent out saying they were coming up on Monday, but. And yeah, so we pulled ours on Monday. Which we were gonna do regardless of what the state said, because the frost has been on a long time. It seemed to be holding
The state was off when you went off.
Yep. So yep, they're off. Yeah, like we talked about, it's better spring than I thought it was gonna be. But, any questions for me? That's, I guess, all I had for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds good. See you in a couple weeks.
We're about 10 minutes ahead of schedule. Next, we've got to schedule hometown fiber status update with the Zoom call. Can you get that zoomed up earlier? Should we wait?
We'll wait. It's preset.
Okay, good enough.
They'll be logging on approximately 9:25. I've got up on the board there.
So that we got something that we need to address in the meantime. Our 10 o'clock up. For there really is nothing left on 10 o'clock. That was all canceled. So
I'd recommend we just hit I can do the first quarter budget report.
Okay.
As other business. I did my normal spreadsheet for everybody and sent copy of the first quarter revenue report to you. It's about 68 pages long, so if you want to look at that at some point, you can. Went through and took the nets of the departments, and as we begin the year, everything is in line where it should be. We're a little higher in enhanced 911. Had some costs that were done early in the year. Monies also do come in throughout the year on that as well. So it didn't see anything out of the ordinary that the board should be concerned about at this point. Overall, the entire levy or the entire final budget, we're just getting started in this. We're 19% of revenue, 22% of expenditures, and overall have not taken in a lot yet. Taxes haven't come in yet, so they'll be coming in May from more income. So, but overall expenses are doing well based on what the departments are doing.
very well.
Unless you have any specific questions or comments on any specific departments. A motion to accept the report, please.
Motion. Thank you, Alice.
Second.
Thank you. Move in second to accept Steve's quarter report. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All. Unanimous. Thank you.
And I'll be back with the second half after June, and we'll be into budget time by then anyway, so you'll be very in tune to where we're at with expenses at that time too. Thank you. We could do the Western Mental Health Center item that I have down at the bottom, if that would be all right.
Yes, please.
The only thing I have with that is I did send out emails to everybody, and the original times they were talking about having in May just did not work with the schedules for you as commissioners in the hospital as well. And also with the Chamber of Commerce as well. So they've come back with two dates of June 19th and July 17th. I polled the commissioners, and actually I didn't hear back from Dallas yet, but actually I already had two no's on June 19th. Which also bring up the point that also may be a new holiday.
The state could ratify it by that.
Yeah, and it would be a holiday regard. There'd be no one working that day. And the hospital, of course, would be open as usual, but county government would be closed that day. So being you already had two commissioners aren't able to come to that one, we went to July 17th, and the only one I didn't hear back from is Dallas, if that worked for him.
You're never gonna get everybody there. Is that-
Agreed.
Have it over with.
Good. So 4 out of the 5 have indicated that July 17th was a better date. The Chamber of Commerce said July 17th is a better date. So recommendation is be done on July 17th. The hospital is available that day. The room is available. So for the open house and for Western Mental Health.
Time on these?
Do not, they'll figure out times at, Sarah will get that worked out and I'll send you information on the times. I'm not sure if it's morning or afternoon at this point. I'm betting on afternoon,
I would see that too.
but as soon as I hear from her, when she gets it set up, if you guys are okay with that. I pretty much let her know that I had 4 out of 5 that were available for that date, so I told her just go ahead and plan on that. So at this point, I really don't need any action on it, so it's just basically an information item for you anyway, so you can pencil that in on your calendars. 17th, July 17th, most likely in the afternoon. And we are about ready to go with Hometown Fiber. In your packets, you do have a couple of handouts that have got paper clipped together for Hometown Fiber, and there's also one on also what the state is doing on bonding. I put those both together so you have them, and Kyle and Jill, you guys have those as well too.
I received an email the other day, from gentleman from Marshall, and he's involved in broadband development. You guys get that same one? I'll put it back up. For you to get out.
Nope.
Source. I'll publish it.
Haven't seen that.
So you and Bowles,
No, we're actually the guest. She set it up, so let's see how technology goes. Oh, great, it's off that camera. This is not good.
Oh, I see, and you can't change the camera.
I don't know that we can change that camera. That's only the feeds off of it. Let the meeting go. Meeting go. Hmm? That'll work. Test, test, test. Hi, Can you hear us?
Good morning.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can adjust that audio at all. It's kind of faint. Let's try it again. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm bringing the audio up here, so hopefully it works.
The camera that we've got set up is not a real good angle. Are you right? Are you fine? Not with the camera on us today. We can watch you. You can't watch us.
And the barely seems fair.
I don't know.
Keeping with
He's gonna hold it. Yeah.
Wow, we gotta be able to do better than this.
We got 3 different cameras in this room, and none of the 3 are pointing where they want them to point.
it.
No. Know how we get our, I don't know how to get the cameras from here to that. So,
We'll just have to forego the camera today. We can send
hang it on the
you-
side or something.
You better. It's not a pretty exciting place.
Okay, Marlena, we're all here. Let's go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I'm having, you sound a little muffled, so I might ask you to repeat some things. But
And as we get started too, of course, we have the regular commissioners here. Commissioner Hollingsworth is not, he is out today with the shots. So it's regular commissioners, Kathy and Steve, and we also have our press here as well.
okay, all right, perfect. So we have some things to go over. And it's been a little while since we've spoken, so I think in the midst of that, there's been some communication and some chatter, and I always feel like it's best to get back to basics. Right, before we get into the depth of what's going on right now, which is why we started having these conversations in the first place. Right, and that's because Pipestone County is highly lacking in internet sufficiency. And the current system is not helping. We did the mapping, we did the investments, we did all of the research, and decided that countywide build is the best option. So there have been some changes since the last time we talked. And I'm going to share it with you. Tell people sometimes
I didn't do that.
when we're doing things like this, that these conversations are a little bit like falling in love. Right? It's gonna make you nervous, give you a little bit of anxiety. It's gonna get you excited. You know,
But sometimes it's love at first sight, right?
it's sometimes, I don't know if you dated in my era. Okay, so we have a couple things to go over, and when we go over these things, I want you to hold on to a couple things throughout our conversation. Okay? One is that my goal, right, hometown fiber's goal is never to sell you a countywide bill first, right? Our goal is always to make sure that the communities have the most reliable internet and the fastest and the best pricing. So doing a countywide bill is still your best option to deliver this to your residents. 2, the numbers have changed. Right, we expected that. Not this much, but we expected it. However, the project is still financially feasible. Right, we've gone over them frontwards and backwards. And 3, what you're doing here is a big deal. Right, installing countywide infrastructure is a big deal. And it's complicated. So it's okay to have questions. I want you to ask them. And I also want you to remember that you're going to have a lot of support. Right, we're going to have hometown fiber. We're going to have financial advisors, deeply versed in open access networks. You're going to have attorneys vested in your best interest, legally and financially, and all sorts of people who are going to walk you through and guide you with the information, making sure that this gets done correctly and zero harm to Pipestone or its people. So let's look at what's changed. This is the fun part.
No, it's not fun.
We have numbers.
No, it's not
The
fun.
total cost of the project has increased. Right, there's been a 40% increase in construction and material costs since the last year. We know how this works. Federal money or the federal government is throwing money at this, costs have gone up and we don't expect it to come down. So those look like big numbers. Break them down a little bit. 24 million can be broken into a total bond amount for the county of 14.5 million. That's not bad. Structure. That means the total amount of grant dollars increasing at 9.7 million. The cost increase raises the years of investment to 17.4 years until the network is paid off in full. And honestly, that's not a very long time when you put in context how long the fiber system stays in place. So these numbers are going to dance around a little bit, okay? A little bit, and that's normal. But what we need to do here, this is a good push. This is a push that I'm asking for today. Is we have to lock these numbers down before we start climbing up that staircase too far. Okay, because I told you that the project is still viable, and it is. But the truth is, we don't have a lot of business in that. Right, so we're not expecting a huge influx in the population of Pipestone County. And the amount of money being rolled out right now, we don't expect costs to go down. The grant dollars that we know we need to make this project work are available now. We can hope that there are going to be more, but we're not going to bet on it. Right, so look at these numbers and take a deep breath and you have to decide if it's worth it. $14.5 million bond, 17-year return for countywide internet infrastructure. Again, hold on to the fact that you're not doing this on your own. Right? We have a lot of professionals with their strategy laid out in front of you. So let's talk strategy. Grant applications. In your handouts for review, we've included a handout that talks specifically about what grants we can be applying for, and strategy for application. I understand that you moving forward with this project is tied directly to grant funding. Right, and making sure that that 9.7 is funded. So the broadband office is expected to launch back-to-back grant rounds late summer 2020, and again just before Christmas. Those grants will be awarded shortly after, because the state can't afford to miss another construction season like it did in 2018-2020. $65 million will be available July 1st, 2023. That was agreed upon in conference committee and is now headed for a vote. $55 million will be available starting July 21st, 24. Same conference committee report that's out. Both the low density and additional program will be available next year, 23 and 24. Sometime between this fall, 24, 640 million to 968 million federal broadband money will be available in sort of grants. That's a lot of money. You'll notice that the top two grants here are for this calendar year, which means you have to move. So the grant deadline's coming, you have to be ready. This is where, like falling in love, I'm going to ask you for a commitment. But to the project and to your county. So we're gonna have to make a temporary investment. The build strategy and schedule here. We have to do three things to make these grant applications viable. We have to prove sustainability. We have to demonstrate local commitment. And we have to be shovel ready with bids in hand. Okay, we cannot leave any of this up to chance and expect to have successful grant applications. So financial sustainability, it has to have local support and it has to be ready to build. We will build Pipestone City first, right? But we need Pipestone City to anchor the network to make it financially viable. This will eliminate any doubt by giving the state some hard facts. One, we're going to hand them a network design that is completely architecture and engineered. So it's a blueprint, a map of how this network will be built and to what specifications. We're going to have construction bids in hand, right? That locks down the pricing and makes, that's the staircase that I said we can't climb very much further up, right? We have to lock that down. And then we're going to have the bonds and construction and schedule and shovel. Strategy and schedule is what we need to get to the best possible scores for the grants. Okay, I'm guessing you're thinking what if. So what if 0 grant dollars are awarded? What if half the grant dollars are awarded? I don't want to spend too much time here because that's worst case scenario. But we need to touch on it. So the quick answer is, what happens if you bond for 14.5 million and are awarded partial 0 grant dollars? And the quick answer is, you still get countywide internet. It just takes long. There's a variety of options here, so none of them are as sparkly as bonding and receiving grant dollars to build infrastructure, having an ROI, essentially 0 cost. But there are options. We know this bill is heavily reliant on grant funding. And we're doing what we can in our power to ensure the highest score possible to get the most dollars available. If the worst case scenario happens, can we handle it? That's always the question. And the answer is yes. So I don't want to spend too much time deep diving into this because again, it's worst case scenario, but so you have an idea of what that might look like. If we build a single Pipestone and we bond for the 14.5, the network operations for that portion begin paying back the bond payments. So that part is right. That's your safety. While that's happening, we continue to go after additional grants. And if out of $1 billion, I think it's 1.1 billion in state and federal money, they give 0 to Pipestone, then your options for the county bill can include county gifts, local tax increases, tax pledges. The bill could also stop at the city. However, the community will probably have an opinion on this, especially your agricultural people. So again, big ifs, not something we're going to get stuck on. Here's what we need for them. Right, and we're gonna get to questions. I'm supposed to ask some, but you have a to-do list. So we have to hire a broadband infrastructure financial advisor. So someone experienced in open access broadband infrastructure. With our experience going into this, there are many financial advisors who have an idea about how this would work. Right, and only a few out there that we found we can use Laura who tell you how it's going to work and what your best options are, and sort of lay it out for you options instead of option 1 and 2. There's options A through C. Okay, so Laura has been hugely instrumental in the builders continuing success in their build, and in 15 years She's not had one network fail to make it on. Not one. So discuss bonding options and contract agreements directly with you. And she can always speak to the involvement of Northland Securities and Trade. This needs to be put in motion so that the scheduled sale of bonds can be marked in the grant application. And then it's important to remember here that Laura works with you. She works for you, not the hometown library. Right, so these are all private conversations and decisions that you're making with her. You know, our involvement there is limited, whereas abundant is applied to. The other thing you need to do, right, is look at the proposal in front of you and approve it for network architecture. So this part is what solidifies the rest of these grant applications. It completes the network architecture, secures the civil engineering services, specifications for the three bidding processes. Free. Paved goods, earthwork, and fiber splicing. So we have what we need for the successful grant applications. Now, I want to pause here, right, because this is about our standard process. And we need to recognize that. So what I'm asking you here is the commitment to the bill, right? Because they're going to bond now. And then understand the money that we're asking for here already been built. It requires a 50% deposit. And that can be repaid to the general fund after the bonds are sold. And Town Fiber is going to do their best to get all of this before the sales are finalized. And the only reason that we need this now is because we're up against other people's deadlines, right? The Office of Broadband's deadlines. So what we're doing here is we've taken a lot of baby steps, right? And now we have to take a big one to move the control and just make sure that we're fully prepared. But it's a decision point. And I told you that there would be a couple of those throughout this process. The truth of the matter is that because this bill is so highly dependent on the grant applications and the money coming through, and that part of it is so important to you, that the network architecture being completed, pre-grant opening, right? And they're opening end of summer, beginning of fall. We can't in good faith continue the project with Pipestone. Because we don't think we would be dealing with investors. So again, it takes us back to the basics, right? Why we're all sitting here and why we decided to do the county like that. It's the money that's already been invested, the maps that have been done, phone calls that have been made, the meetings with the ISPs, everything that's been done up to this point. It's time to make a decision. If you don't continue with this option, then your choice is to let Pipestone City overload, right? Turn to red, and hope an ISP comes in to update their cable sometime. The agricultural portions of the county will most likely stalemate where they are for a while. Okay, so that's the butterflies in our stomach, right? And then here's a kicker. I don't know if you picked up on this yet or not, but we're gonna. So all of what we have to do here takes time. You'll see in your proposal, our scope of work is to be completed in 120 days. That's a push. Big push that we can do. The grant application is again open summer to fall, and 120 days will line us up perfectly for that. So that's your to-do list. Broadband, financial advisor. from the architect and engineer plan, here promises. We had to do this too. Before I get into what hometown fiber's next steps are, I had Steve send over a couple questions about maybe some conversations we had, some questions we had. So I know you had some questions about grants, and we covered some of that. Have that in your packets, or you have our plan with some additional details on page 50 of our own investments. Here's an exciting part. We've had some interest from tier 1 of this piece in Pipestone. So this is huge for your county. This means that they see you, that they see what you are doing, and they want to serve on your network. Contracting directly with tier 1s is one of the reasons our operational costs are lower than other networks, and it's going to help keep your residents' bills lower, right? So that's a big deal. You have some questions about official ownership, and if you want to own the network. So a lot of those questions will be talked about and negotiated in contract negotiations. But I want to reiterate here, I don't want to be an ISP, right? And you're not going to be taking phone calls or doing service calls or anything like that. Part of our work as ISPs is to make sure that you get excellent customer service. And when I get the number of this network, they agree to certain standards. Also, you want legal ownership. The network itself is value, right? It's infrastructure. And it produces revenue. So you don't want to manage it, but you want to own it. The next part of this, everything kind of starts to move together, okay, conceivably, right? There's a lot of fancy steps here. So what we're going to do is we're going to architect the network. We're going to complete the engineering and prepare all the bid specs. We're going to continue with the ISP negotiations with the architect and mention the numbers, continue grant application processes as outlined in your handouts. We're going to let bids and get final numbers. When the architect and engineering work is done, we'll produce the bid specs and documents. With those details in hand, we'll continue negotiating with the ISPs and other service providers that serve on the network. We'll keep the board up to date on all of it. Final on our to-do list is to come to you with bid award recommendations. I'm excited for the day that happens. Right, because that is taking this. Sure. So, summary. You spent a lot of time thinking this around internally, guys. It's the what ifs, the viability of the build. If we are providing you with the best option, the best service. And the answer is yes. Can we handle it if this happens? Can we handle it if that happens? The answers are yes. So this is where you just have to take a deep breath and press the blue button. Right? We're going to handle most of the rest of it. And what we don't handle for you. So we designed a network architecture, we get the grant money, we sell the bond, we build Pipestone City, and we deliver internet speed and choice to your agricultural residents. As this continues, okay, you're going to have a few more decision points, but nothing like this one. This is the big one. If something happens that derails the goal, right, I want you to remember you always have an offline for that. But we have to get on the bus now. So I'm sure you have some questions. Should. So we'll go out with those now.
Okay, thank you, Marlena. Does anybody have any questions for Marlena? Thousands of questions, but how do we phrase it? What do we off move? Yeah. Thumbs up.
Well, for starters, when we spoke with you before and you were talking about bonding potentially 8 million with payments of near 800,000 a year. The notion of bonding for 14.5 million, where your payments would probably be $1.5 million a year. I personally don't borrow money that I can afford to pay back, and to me, that's not even in the cards. I mean, to me, unless you were guaranteed that you were gonna get, you know, the low density grants and on top of the other grants, so you were funded at 75% of the project cost. Even then, I would be struggling with, you know, can we afford to borrow 6 million to come up with a quarter of the 24? I frankly don't see how it's feasible to, you know, move forward unless we have some assurance that the bulk of this is covered somehow. I guess
Right.
that's where I'm at.
Thank you for that, Luke. I would add to that as well too. I certainly understand the importance. We know that we need to get high-speed internet fiber to our residents. And I don't want to be the naysayer in this. And I appreciate your comments as well too. But I don't have the comfort level. We were really concerned when we first started these discussions about affordability. And now to hear that we were 40% off, that just really scares me. And I apologize. I don't mean to attack you, but it doesn't instill confidence when we can be that far off this early in the project. Now, I know it's not your fault. I know it's inflation. It's the supply and demand issues with it as well too. And then just the concept, our overall goal is to get fiber, get internet to our underserved or not served at all. And I understand the concept that we have to be able to have something to generate money to pay off the debt before we can actually get to our rural members that don't have it. So to have to spend all this money to duplicate services that we already have in the town of Pipestone, and I understand the financial reasoning for it, but I have a hard time explaining to our constituents, our taxpayers, that this isn't your money, that this is bond money, but if it fails, we still are the co-signer for the note. It still is our legal financial liability. So to say in order to do this, we have to completely rebuild an existing system in town, which again, granted, isn't what current standards should be. But the amount of money it's going to take to do that and then compete with 2 or 3 other providers in town for that market share in order to generate enough money to be able to pay to get this fiber out in the country. Well, we already said if we don't get the whole grant, any of the whole grant, we can still do it. It just takes longer. 17 years. We don't have 17 years to do this. And your financial analysis of a payback in 17 years. I'm not impressed with that type of return of investment at all. And yes, I know it's supposed to last longer.
Okay, all right, you're throwing a lot of stuff here, so let me get to it.
Yeah.
Well, still taking on my head like this.
And again, I apologize for being the curmudgeon here, but
No, much in the up. This is the conversation we have to have. Okay, so. The first comment. Right, which is not seeing how this is financially feasible. Right, and the payback. This is the Laura thing. Now, she's been calling me. I think she had a hard time jumping onto this meeting. So I just resent her the link while we were talking. So hopefully she'll pop up here. But this is a Laura thing, and nobody builds this network without the numbers working. These numbers are not just hometown fibers numbers. Okay, they're independently vetted and confirmed by financial advisors, legal counsel, people who come do this for a living. Right, so we don't have to go just off of what we say. Right, and as far as the grants go, For instance. But it's one of those, you're in a pickle, Pipestone.
It's a moving
Right.
target.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
No guarantees of
It's
grant.
bigger than the exit situation. Right, you can, it's not easy one, invest in your community and get this done. And. Hello. Hi, Laura. Hi, Laura, sorry, we just finished your presentation and firing off questions, I'm so happy you're here. Okay. I'm sorry if I'm a little late. On the situation. Okay. Anyway, so with the grant money, we're in a chicken and the egg situation, right? We can't apply for grants without showing vested community support and interest in this. I mean, we can apply, we can't win. We cannot push off the timeline on this until next year, because then this will never happen. It will not become a financially viable project. Right, those numbers will fall apart. We have about a 10% wiggle room here. Okay, so not a ton. And we can't control what the feds do, we can't control interest rates. We can only control what we're doing. We're there. We gave them the new numbers of the $14.5 million bond, and what was expressed is that they weren't that comfortable with the $8 million bond. We went over 9.7 million in grants that they're gonna need, how we're going to do that. And they're, and correct me if I'm wrong for that, right? But they're nervous about the project. How that gets paid back, responsibility to the taxpayers.
Maria, for about 3 minutes of what you were saying, I was getting nothing but bad reviews. I was in a bad area, within an area of Salt Lake, the police without service. So I'm sorry, if the person was directed at me, you're gonna have to read. What I heard was you can apply for grant, chicken and egg. They need to know government supported, and we can't wait. That was the gist of what I. Okay.
Also, Laura, the board has, this is kind of, they have a real concern about the amount of money that they would bond and the risk that comes with that, and whether the project would be financially viable. And they were concerned about a 17-year ROI being too long, if I can summarize.
So, do I have the floor? Do you want me to speak or someone else going to?
No, please.
Why would you look at that?
All right, so, maybe it's just because I come from a different world, this is kind of the US currently, where my clients generally will look at the financial term of a project based on, so we look at two things. The useful life of the project, we do not want to finance being a useful phase. And secondly, what is their cash flow to repay the debt? And looking at those two things, we can try to shorten the debt up as much as we can. But no one that I've worked with in the West, and this is the first time I've worked back east, and I know everyone kind of has their different way of looking at the world. So, whether that's, working in Arizona and Utah, and Idaho, and Wyoming, Nevada, and Oregon, and it's pretty good to do longer bonds, because the benefit of that is obviously it brings your payment down. So I guess when I'm hearing a concern about worry about financial viability, but then wanting to do the debt over a short term, and those two are working against each other, because with fiber projects, the fiber has a useful life of, we really don't know how long, but most everyone I talk to in the industry is like, it'll be beyond 50 years. So if we call that 50 years, we do know the electronics have a shorter life, and they have to be replaced every, roughly 7 to 10, as I understand it. But when you weigh the cost of electronics, we do a useful life calculation. The useful life is usually well beyond 30 years. So if we are concerned about the financial viability, then we need to think about making these plans. And the benefit of most bond structures, as people know what they're doing, is that you can refund them after 9 or 10 years. Right now, if you've got an advisor who will push the advisor, we usually get a 9-year call without a penalty. Typically, it's 10 years. If we do that, so let's say it's a streaming success, we finance it over 30 years, you don't run the debt that is that long. I understand and appreciate that, but if we do the initial amortization over 30 years, in 9 or 10 years, you will have the benefit of having a history. You will know what the cash flow is coming off of the system. You will know much better sense of the actual am and how much electronic needs to be replaced. And with all of that, we can refund this now. Then we can do a ticket financing, and you don't have to go out for the remaining 20 years. You have the full flexibility to restructure. So I guess that's part of what I'm confused about, because if we're concerned about cash flow, then we need to take that out longer. One other thing,
Right, it's not a concern about cash flow. Their main concern is the amount that they're bonding. So originally, they would be bonding about 8. And now with inflation, they're looking at about 15.5. Okay, right, 9.7 in grants. That need to be allocated.
And so I'm the 14 is on top of the 9, right? So
Mhm.
There's
Fine. 23. Can you cut out again? I'm sorry. So how many times? Find me one more time.
25 million.
Total cost of the project is about 24,
Okay.
okay? And there will be a bond in 14.
So I haven't looked at the cash flow file that you have probably put together relative to expected take rates and revenue. What are you seeing with that? I mean, do you think it's supportable? And if so, like I said, they're about what approximately what take rate and what average cost for connection. And
Oh, sorry. This is Kyle. We're at 39.5% on the take rate. It's a little less in the populated areas because there is competing systems running on that percentage.
Okay.
And it's a little bit greater in rural areas where there isn't much competition. So it averages out across the network at 39.5.
And is the area where there's a network, is it fiber?
No, it's a cable system. I mean, it's,
So-
and then that has some viability left in it, but not a whole lot, so, yeah.
So for the people at Pipestone, I will tell you that a 39.5% take rate is very, very achievable. I've done a lot of this financing. I think we've totaled up to over $1 billion now. And we do have some areas and there that are lower than that. But the more rural you get, typically the higher the take rate is. We have to balance that with what median incomes are, because that can sometimes impact that with the federal program now, the internet, I don't even know what the acronym is. But that helps a lot. I think the county would need to do the tax company to take action, to educate citizens about the availability of programs. That availability is roofing in Morgan, Utah, for example, or Brigham City, Utah, we're seeing take rates of like 50, 55%. So hearing that doesn't worry me at all. Is that where it cash flows? I would feel very comfortable that we did the transaction done. That would make economic sense. And obviously, I want to look at the numbers, make sure we do it fast and run some debt service numbers and show you what that would look like. How would we program? You start collecting revenue for debt service. But that doesn't worry me at all. What kind of
What was that?
the cost? If I was a subscriber, what my bill was like.
Yeah, when you average everything out, with all of the different market levels, so we have the below poverty, that's subsidized by the FCC. And then we have the median household income, and then we have small businesses. And we're breaking them all out, and you see those in the numbers and send them to you, Laura. And right now, that is looking like it's gonna land right on the national average of 114. But I think you're gonna have a fair amount of people that are gonna take advantage of that $30 subsidy from the FCC. So that's one of the reasons why the take rate can hold at the 39.5. If we're not able to obtain the lower income folks, the numbers drop off a bit, and so that program does help get people started and get affordable internet for them. So when you look at
that, I know enough about the program to be a little bit dangerous. I'm assuming they have to reapply for every year, and I know that currently it only will arrive for, in terms of being funded for a couple of years, right?
right, yeah,
But there are
Yeah.
groups that are advocating for extending that.
yeah. But I'm still here. But what we are requiring the ISPs is that they are involved in that program to offer a package at that low rate. So we're taking the speeds that are minimally required by the state of Minnesota in their target, and we're packaging that it's probably going to be about $39 where it comes in for folks, $39 a month for that. And then I think the next package starts at about $49 a month. And we've chopped up expected service offerings basically in $10 increments, based on speed and what services they're likely to buy if they're at different income levels.
And will the governmental entities connect?
Yes, we have built, yeah, we have built, well, we have built into the network architecture the connectivity of SCADA systems and water systems and things of that nature, government buildings, schools, whatever it is. We're providing a dark fiber for them so that they can connect a network however they want. And that's a huge community benefit, but it is something that we have factored into the pricing.
Okay, so
The other,
Pipestone, you're getting a taste of what our daily meetings are.
Yeah, in fact, I was just gonna interject that in consideration of time and so forth.
Yeah, here's the thing. These are conversations that you need to have with Laura, right? Because as the financial advisor, like I said, she looks at the numbers, she privately vets them, and then she walks you through your options, to see if it's tax exempt, see if it's exempt, see if it makes sense. If they don't make sense, you don't move forward.
And that's, I'm speaking for myself, and the entire group, we didn't move forward at this point, but I'd like to hear from Al as well too. Give you guys an opportunity.
Yeah, it's good to hear, it's good to hear the answer, right, and the professionals at play here, but the other thing that you have to ask yourself, right, so it's like I said, it's uncomfortable. This is uncomfortable. Right? What else is uncomfortable is nothing. So we're asking you for a temporary monetary commitment right now. And then we're asking you to book a meeting with her. Talk to her about the numbers and options. She flew in and sat down with them and went over their options with them.
And I would be happy to do the same with you. My schedule right now is a little bit crazy in the next couple of weeks, but after that, I'm sure we can find some time I could fly in and meet with you if you want to meet in person.
Yeah.
In my face, whatever is convenient for you. If you determine to retain me as your financial advisor, my duty of care and duty of loyalty and my fiduciary duty is to you. As the city, I mean, this whole tribal world is one of I know people think this woman. I could not, I could give you a feel for our, the connection, estimates in terms of construction costs. Are they reasonable based on what I've seen? Because I've seen a lot of that, but I'm not a fiber network engineer. That is not my expertise, but I know people who are. And I know people that, we say, okay, this passes the initial smell test for product, but, I'd like you to go a little deeper dive than that in terms of, setting a construction estimate. I can, bring to the table to do that. We can talk about how you want to structure the debt and what the, likelihood is the system revenue paying for that debt.
Well, very good. We can circle back. Yeah, we can circle back to that as we move forward. I think at this point, we do need to move forward. Again, I'd like to get the house and Doug and then we got a comments as well. Just wave his hand. Okay.
Well, just doing the math using, your own figures. Based on the 39.5% take rate, if you got the national average of $114 per customer, and that would bring in less than $250,000 a year. Or no, that'd be per month, I guess, because that'd be a monthly fee. So then times 12 would be
1368,
okay, but then times
however many.
You guys need to
Okay.
add this all.
be like 2.87 million a year.
Yeah, right now we have debt services at 1.5 million annually with the bond.
But that's assuming that all funds generated were ours to use.
That also assumes full grant.
Right, well, and just the interest alone on that size of bond is over, about 725,000 at 5%. And of course, you haven't paid any principal, so.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why it ran out to 17.
Right, so I mean, at $1.5 million payments, it would still drag on for a long time, and of course, you're paying a tremendous amount of interest over that period.
And the ISP is gonna get some of that 114,
Right,
right? Because you still gotta provide that. They have to have their, thoughts?
I just need some time to look over the numbers, like we was talking here. I think we're getting those,
And please don't get us wrong. We don't mean to be obstinate about this, and we don't also want to limit our possibilities. I am not truly convinced that we've exhausted all other options. I know this is a moving target. There's a lot of other things going on. I also agree that time is of the essence, so it's one of those, we're between a rock and a hard place here, but I just don't think that we can afford to make the wrong decision here. Like I said, I'm not ready to commit at this time.
All right, that's fine. So I don't think you probably should make a decision until sit down with numbers and math, what we've done, right? See how it works on our end. And what we're doing to have a conversation with Laura. Right, get a couple options laid out. So, you know, time is of the essence. We're agreed on that. That's,
Yeah.
that's a good start.
Absolutely.
And the other options. What am I missing?
This is Kyle. I would just like to say that, in order to get the grants, you know, to score high on them and to have a fighting chance with them, we need to get this work done before you, and if we keep the rain, we're not gonna be able to get that done before it. The risk that you're running right now, unfortunately, the rock and the hard place thing, the risk that you're running is that we won't be able to get that put together. And then,
On the flip side, the risk is if we move forward and bond something more than we can afford, the county could be bankrupt in several years.
We're not, listen, no. Yeah, that's why you meet before you go over numbers. We're not gonna let you.
But you won't be making payments.
so what we're asking for today is the proposal is before you get going on the engineering, so we can get those grant applications in. You know, I mean, it's unfortunate that that's what's required, but it is required. If you're gonna get these grants, the project dependent on these grants being awarded. And in fact, I think we would know, you know, where the boards stand before, you know, you have to commit to the full bond.
I heard a comment earlier too, that hadn't even occurred to me before, and you made reference to the fact that we would be tax exempt on this, of course, we were a government agency. How does, I really don't want to have the county in a position where we're competing with other companies, and they are not tax exempt, but we are, so that's another whole philosophical dilemma on top of all the other financial concerns we've got about it.
So I have a, what I believe is a reasonable answer to that concern, in this instance. The incumbents and competitors, well, I the answer, I'll tell you that, but it's a reasonable answer. And that is, the system is being constructed, as I understand it, with access. And so if they choose to, the incumbents can write out of it. So it's, you know, the moment I like to, you know, the example I have to say is, this is a utility. We need to treat it, county needs to treat it like a utility. And, you know, when you build a road, you were building an airport, for the land is money. They have to be qualified. You know, you wouldn't want my wood come and be an NFT. If they know that way, they can, you know, become a provider. For the benefits of open access. If this were a closed system, you couldn't say that, then that's a different. Many reasons I huge proponent of open access. Because it takes that argument away. Now, I've again done this a long time. I've battled, you know, big incumbents, the Comcast and choosing Xfinity, AT&T when they were playing out here, and you know, it's like happy day when, you know, and it was an under the radar. Actually ended up writing having payments between Comcast and Utopia, because Utopia never was where they needed to deploy, and I mean, you know, but honestly, truly, that like a year, and then sometimes like Comcast had on like that money. Because what it showed is, yes, they can write on these they can rely on them, they can use them, they choose not to, that's their problem. Because it's being financed so that they can utilize. That's my, you know,
Right, you're saying
my
they-
response to that.
Yeah, it is an open access network. We realize that. In fact, while we're on that, I know we talked about whether we had fiber in the area now or not, or it was all coax, and Marlene, yes, the coax system is in the city of Pipestone. However, again, we first talked before about Woodstock Telephone, family of telephone company. They serve close to a third of our territory at this point, and that is a fiber system. So going back to our take rate of 33%, I don't know if I trust those numbers either.
that take rate is done with math, not including where Woodstock has fiber.
Yeah, that's excluded.
Yep, we're not overbuilding Perry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're just using the population outside of that, and we have met with Terry.
Yep.
So we've had a meeting with Terry privately about serving on the network, and he has questions, right? And he raises some good ones, that's good, we like that part about him, but while he has some questions, he still wants to play on the network, he still wants to serve. That's a contract negotiation away.
Where do we go today? Where do we go from here?
Well, today,
Can I have I have a few questions about the grant funding. So what is the high level, Kyle or Marina, what's the requirement in terms of matching funds? What is the timing of getting, I know you have to have, design work done so that they know what the cost is, but when's the application deadline, when are they supposed to decide, et cetera, just some high level.
baseline of that is there are 3 grants they qualify for. 1 to 50, most of 75 matching. Opening late summer, early fall, 2023.
Right.
That's so the traditional border for low density, which is a real for, and the border for green funds, the G funds for the 24 through 27. Right, so you get the traditional border first and low density. If we don't make the 9.7 million in that, then we can go to the G funds, but we're really not going to touch that part of it. In order to do that, because these deadlines are coming up, we have to show the Office of Broadband community support and involvement, sustainability and viability, and we need an updated contracting. So what we're asking them for, and I told them this is the rush on process, not how we're going to do this, but start entering the
If
architecture.
you can hear me, you've gone all calculation.
Perfect.
Okay, there I go, perfect. Okay, good. All right. You with board. Very good.
In them. And I told you, I know that this is a Russian. But we need to start building the network architecture. So that we can prove on the grant applications to the Office of Broadband, sustainability, viability, and have a bid in hand. Lock down that application process.
And what is the cost of that? Because that would be something that I'm assuming we need to be put up front by the local government, right?
Mhm.
Right, we pay back the, because that is working 14.
And what was that financial amount for that commitment?
That's 1.04.
And that's what we need now to commit to before you move forward.
No, this is standard operating procedure for us. You need part of that. So that's the 50%
I'm gonna
deposit.
drop and come back on.
Okay, that's the 50% deposit. Right, and then what we're going to do is our damnedest to get this done before any more money comes due and the bond sales start going through, that gets repaid back to the general fund.
Okay.
So your next step, what you need to do, okay, is you have to decide if you want internet to the entire town. You have to know that we're not gonna put you in a bad financial spot. Right, that's not good for you, that's not good for us, that's not good for business, that's not good for other networks we're building or other customers we have. That's not how we operate. Schedule a meeting time with Laura. Okay, but then know that this 50% deposit lets us start doing what we need to do, secure the grant funding. And that needs to be decided on really soon. Like, we have 120 days to take that scope of work. This isn't at next month.
Well, we don't
Right.
want to
This is
continue
before
to
that.
just drag this out. We need to make a decision on this and put it to rest one way or another. So I'm hearing from you that you feel. Right. So I'm hearing from you, our next logical step is to sit down with Laura and have discussions, is that right?
I think that would make you feel most comfortable, right? I mean, what I want to do. Honestly, you know, and what I want to do is tell you to just push the green button and let us go through this, right? Because I'm confident. Right, we've had all of these internal meetings for months, going back and forth over numbers and how we do Excel sheets, and we're doing all of this.
The number changed by 40%.
Yeah, I know, and it's gonna go up again, that just raised the interest rate again by 4%.
The reason that went up so suddenly was we had bids from last year that we were evaluating. Then the bids started coming in this spring for other projects, and it was stunning.
Yep.
I mean, it was.
We were not shocked.
It got to the point where you're looking at the numbers going, wow, that's quite an increase.
It's sticker time.
And I think that was one of the reasons why, if I were to read people's minds, or try to read minds, is that in the office of broadband, they want the, numbers shored up with full engineering and bid in hand, if at all possible. So that's where the time crunch was. I mean, we will, this is just a rock and a hard place situation, and if you want to move forward, this is your best bet to get the grant money, which the project is absolutely dependent on. You're right about that. I can't make it work financially without that money there.
Well, I think in the interest of time for today, I'd like to wrap up today, and then I'm gonna ask Steve if you would contact Laura and work a schedule out for her, either Zoom or visit with us, whatever we do.
Mhm.
I apologize, I don't mean to procrastinate on this, but I'm just not ready to pull the trigger on this type of investment.
You know what? I want you to be as comfortable as we are moving forward. Okay, so I respect that. I know that you need time, you need some more information. I've been digesting this for a month. Okay. So,
And this is what you've done for years, so
Yeah.
you got a great deal, higher level of understanding that we do, so for us to try to digest all this and make an informed decision. It's
again,
not
it
easy.
threw a lot of stuff at you. I told you, it's like falling in love. It's gonna make you nervous, it's gonna make you tingle a little bit. Right, and then I'm gonna for commitment. That's what girls do.
That's one way to look at it. Mr. Chairman, I'd recommend that we digest this information, meet between now and the 23rd with Laura, and then take a look at the proposed resolution they have for the payment of the 1.04 and take that up to the 23rd if we wish to move forward.
I like that.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're somewhat of a disadvantage now again, because our fifth commissioner, Chris Hollingsworth, wasn't able to be with us today. And he is probably of the five of us, he's the most informed on this.
Technical wise,
Fair.
Yeah. as far as that, yes, I think we should we get a special meeting scheduled with the full board and Laura between now and the 23rd. And have that discussion.
And believe me when I say, I do truly appreciate what you're trying to do for us. We appreciate that. We just got commitment issues. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
That's what they call it. Yeah, commitment issues.
How many men have you fallen in love with?
Don't have to answer that.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for your time.
So before we drop, very quickly, final one, could you share the actual numbers with me on this project and make the point where you can do that?
Yes, we'll send those over, and then Pipestone, you will have Laura's contact information, I'll send that over to Steve. just to
Yep.
make sure.
Yep, that'll be fine.
Meeting, we're back on the 23rd.
Any closing comments from anybody else?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Can you kill that when they're done?
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Your brain hurt yet?
My brain. Kyle is here. Kyle.
Patiently waiting.
35 minutes late. You might have to
Hmm?
change.
What's that? Oh, we need Chris first.
Oh, and- okay.
We need the property tax abatement first,
Okay,
please.
so we do that before it recess.
Yeah, let's do it. This won't take long.
Okay,
Let's do
Chris?
this.
Yeah.
This should be pretty much a formality. And like I said, unfortunately, Amanda's not here due to illness today, so Chris, it's on you right now.
The request is for the abatement of $38 paid by Gary Punt for taxes payable in 2023 on parcel 18-113-0220. And the reason being is last year the assessor's office was reviewing parcels and we found this parcel is being mostly utilized for ag, so little ag land. And it was classed as no right away with no value. So we changed it to ag class and assigned it a value. Sent a letter to Gary. He came in, we did some research, found out that this property is actually owned by the city of Pipestone, which would be a street.
Okay.
I wasn't involved in a lot of the research, so I don't know a lot about it, but there was documentation in our system that showed that it should have gone to the city years ago.
So the resolution of this issue that is to,
What we did was, the parcel was to be deleted, and then it goes to the city of Pipestone. It was overlooked, it wasn't deleted last year, a tax statement was generated, and Gary came in and paid the taxes.
Okay.
So, we have since deleted, the parcel was now deleted. And what we're asking for is the abatement of $38 that Gary paid.
okay, I make a motion to approve the abatement of $38, $80. And I will second that motion. To abatement of $38 to resolve this. Any further questions, discussion, anybody? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, at this time, we'll take a brief 5-minute recess to catch our breath.
Sounds good.
We are back out of our brief recess. We have got 2 items left on our agenda. Kyle Greer has got a report he's going to give us on a RCRCH public use agreement.
Yep, very. Kind of just a redo of what they've done in the past. There's a joint powers agreement. RCRCA is an organization that has a soil and water representative and a county representative from the participating counties. And this is a 2-year agreement giving the representative, which is Luke, the authorization to sign the joint powers agreement.
Nothing's changed except the date.
That's good.
Very good. So we need to take action on this, so I will entertain a motion to approve of this agreement, empowering the 2 representatives.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 59-17-23.
Thank you, Dennis. Very good. Move the second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same. That was a big reason. That was. And then Kyle's got a second part in here also on this one.
But the resolution that you motioned on is actually the second thing he's gonna talk about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I messed
Okay.
59-17-23.
So let's change that to that Dallas made the motion on the RCRCA joint powers agreement. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Agree with the second then? Yes.
Still agree.
We're agreeing.
All right.
Okay, and now
Okay.
a resolution to support the Redwood Rivers Watershed One Plan project. I did talk about this a couple of weeks ago. This is a resolution supporting the RCRCA, Redwood River Cottonwood Association, to apply for a Board of Water Soil Resources grant to start the One Watershed One Plan process on the Redwood River. And I believe it was all supported, everybody was in support of being part of that process and
Yeah, we
starting to
voted
work
on
on
that.
this.
So,
Or you have already.
Yeah, I would move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And I'll second that. Approval. Any further questions, discussion? That's so funny, Bill. Yeah, I don't dare. I don't get approved. Okay. Any further questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Same.
Thanks.
No, I have- Thank you.
Thanks, Cal. Thanks for waiting.
I think the only thing we got left is community reports. correct?
Yes, sir.
Luke, are you prepared to
Sure.
start out with reports?
On April 12th, we had our district eight land use, talked about the Windham Pork Plant, which is for sale and potentially closing. And then I saw yesterday they did file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So not really sure what's gonna happen there. And then there was some talk about fish kills in area lakes and whatnot, and also have the MHA trustee council that day. We're ready for the summer conference, July 13th to 15th. On the 13th, Water District met, of course, they're gearing up for their new building, hopefully by July 1st. 14th, at our Highway 23 Coalition annual meeting, heard from and personally spoke to Representative Pete Stauber and Congressman and MnDOT Commissioner Nancy Gobbenberger. On the 17th, myself and Senator Weber and Rock County Commissioner Gary Overgard testified before the Senate Transportation Committee on reconstructing Highway 75 from Pipestone to Laverne. And then I testified to talk about reconstructing Highway 23 from Pipestone to Russell. On the 19th, went to a Health and Human Service training at Southwest Health and Human Services, learned about the state's wish to create a new child welfare agency, which to me seems like a lot more bureaucracy for certainly it costs a lot. And I don't understand it, but on the 21st, AMC board met. On the 25th, we had our hospital board. On the 26th, Nick and I attended the city road and bridge committee meeting or whatever, and we explained to him why the city of Pipestone's not currently eligible for state aid funds, since we've overspent 2.8 million in the city of Pipestone over the last number of years, and currently other cities in the county have pending needs. And so we're gonna, help out the other cities that haven't been getting money for quite some time. And then I also had an AMC governance committee meeting where we were reviewing the bylaws for AMC. On the 27th, Prime Health met. We had slightly higher usage in the first quarter, but still in good overall position, basically near break even after over 5 years of the health plan. So things seem to be doing good there. And the first Minnesota rural counties met, had the Department of Revenue Commissioner Paul Marquardt address the rural counties, and then got updates from Britta and EMC staffers. On the 4th, Area 2 and RCRCA met. Area 2 is still waiting to hear on their bonding dollars, and RCRCA has applied for some clean water funds for some various projects. And yesterday we had a plant ops meeting at the hospital, and next week and the week after, they should be installing those new air handling units on the roof of the hospital. That's about all
Very good. Thank you. Okay.
I have. April 6th, Prime West, which actually had to do that by Zoom. There were some bad roads up north in the Alex areas. April 11th, regular board meeting. 12th, did a in-depth tour of the hospital in Dallas and Brad. Very interesting. There's a lot more there than I thought was. Yeah, I don't know if we opened every door or not. So, April 13th, Soil and Water Conservation District. Their NRCS person was leaving, going to Webster, South Dakota.
Oh, wow.
What was last name? Joe from Worthington, NRCS was going to cover the, and then the board, maybe said it, the board approved the building of the garage. That new site here. April 19th, Southwest Health and Human Services, we had a regular board meeting. New commissioner training, updated training. April 24th, AMC legislative update by Zoom. April 25th, regular board meeting, and then the hospital regular board meeting. And April 27th, continuing with my trustee training for the hospital, and that's an online training. April 11th, regular meeting. For April 12th, the hospital tour. It was good to see Brad Burris, proud of his hospital. Proud to show it off. You know, things are supposed to be clean in the hospital, but it's clean underneath, and the mechanical rooms and everything. It's all very impressed with that. April 19th, Kathy set up safety things and CPR pressure. That was very worthwhile for me. 6:30 on the 19th, in the Plum Creek Library. 3% raise for all, 2.5% raise for Elizabeth. She wanted to do that. She's a good leader. That's really good. Our annual meeting is going to be in Pipestone. We have decided yet whether to be in Petrotoy Performing Arts Center lobby or Hiawatha Lodge. So, Elizabeth was here last meeting, so we went around to all the different places, so she can have a little better informed decision on where to go. And that'll be in September sometime. 24th was the opioid settlement meeting in Key Largo. Steve was there along with a bunch of other dignitaries. We had 7 policemen there.
Yeah, lots of law enforcement. Mhm.
We talked about recreational marijuana that was going to be voted on that week. Marijuana nowadays is 15% potency instead of 4%. And we're one thing that we did learn there is there's a new mental health crisis center in Worthington. It's going to be open, just open, soon. So that's another option for the law professionals to have. 25th regular meeting in the hospital in the afternoon. 26th, we were supposed to have a transfer meeting, but it was canceled.
Lack of agenda, basically.
No.
Okay, thank you, Alice. My meetings for the month, then Doug touched on Crime West, but we had them on the 6th and Zoom meeting. Nothing really new there, other than, of course, our ongoing test. We still don't know where that suits at all. On the 7th, Steve and I met by Zoom with this Laura Lewis that we talked about today, the finance person, so we kind of got an update on that as well already. Oh, I skipped over a couple of things too. I'm sorry. The 3rd and the 4th, as you know, with this Dr. View coming to this, I was involved somewhat with him on that to pick him up at the airport. And spent a little bit of time with him as well. And as you know, it's looking positive at this point. And there's a good possibility it might come. On the 10th, then Luke mentioned we had our planned facility meeting at the hospital. On the 11th, I was back up to Alex then for Prime West Quality Control meeting in the evening. Same type of stuff that we do every quarter up there, go through quality issues that our staff comply with. On the 14th, Friday, I had my Southwest 18 Mental Health Consortium in Marshall. Talk about Western mental health, of course, I'll get started down here with this as well too. I'm not really sure where they're at yet with, Rock County still thinks that they need money coming to them yet from South Country. That's still kind of up in the air, the way it sounds. Maybe
From Southwest Mental Health.
not from Southwest Mental Health, but from South Country. For human services. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, they still feel that the money that they had put in originally into Southwest, that was their principle, and they should get that back after it's all.
What's their agreement say?
I don't think they're gonna like stand up, and they've been told that for over a year, but they don't, that doesn't stop them. Then on the 17th, the hospital, they had a meeting too, and it was another quality type meeting. It's an annual one that they have to do. It's the first time that we sat in on that one. The Dr. Anderson was there, and yes, it's one of those annual updates we have to do. I had a search steering committee luncheon or meeting then on Tuesday. And then also been working a little bit with the library here, Jody, on other things as well too, with their expansion. That's separate from the county's business.
That surge steering, is that a PCMC meeting?
Uh,
Is that for hospital?
the one on Monday.
What you call surge steering?
Oh, CERS, excuse me.
Oh, CERS?
CERS, that's clean energy.
Okay,
Yeah, clean energy. It's an ongoing one. To be honest, some of those I don't really get a lot out of.
Got it, okay.
We've got 102 participants in it for a half hour, telling us about EV and so forth. It's not all interesting. Then on the 20th, been working with their SMOC organization out of Worthington. We had some interviews in replacing our Head Start directors. No Lori Gunnick had retired, then effective in the end of April. We had one internal candidate that really stood out well. He's been with the organization for about 2 years. Her name is Barb Austin, and she does have her master's degree. And she's got the support of the other staff there as well too. Our interim, administrator supports her a great deal. He's not interested in the job herself because she doesn't have a master's degree. And it looks like these three individuals are going to really work well together. So I'm looking forward to that cohesiveness. So moving forward. So the offer's been extended. She's accepted the offer, but as you know, if the Head Start's involved, it has to go through a whole vetting process with the state before it's officially ratified. That was the interviews were on Thursday and Friday, and then she accepted on Friday. The following Monday, then on the 24th, we had our regular Head Start meeting down in Worthington. Still working on our resolution of our executive director position, so I'll have more to report on that soon. That completed my month. Thank you, gentlemen.
Lori has a new job.
Yes, Lori's got a school.
School library.
good for her.
Good.
She's going to be greatly missed.
Do we need to set up that special meeting?
We certainly can try. Want to look at your calendars, if you got anything, but now between now and the 23rd, we want to
For Lori.
for hometown fiber
Laura.
with Laura.
Mhm.
I don't know what her schedule will allow, but
Well, Chris would have a CBT on Monday. Chris.
so 15th would be out then.
How about,
Oh, no, wait a minute. I'm a week ahead of myself. Sorry. That's on the 22nd. He's got that.
Oh, CPT is on the 22nd?
Yeah.
Okay,
And, let's see, 17th, I have Southwest Health and Human Services.
what about the 16th?
16th.
third Tuesday, that's usually not a big day for you guys, is it?
I've got to go down to Worthington on the 16th. Office Economic Opportunities coming to visit with us about EP. So
Okay.
I probably will be
16th is out,
late in the afternoon, maybe. It depends on time.
18.
Thursday, 18th.
Morning.
Afternoon doesn't look good for me. I could do it in the morning of the 18th.
Monday the 15th.
Monday the 15th is open for me.
They're gonna have an AMC update in the morning, but.
That'll be done at 10.
Yeah, so after that. we're
Yeah.
good.
And there's really no need for her to fly in for this.
Oh, God, no. We'll,
She talked about coming in person, so that's.
well, if she wants to do it on her dime, I'm not gonna stop her.
Right,
He's certainly welcome. But
Yeah,
you want to try to shoot for the 15th to start with and
Monday, the 15th, say 10:30,
Yeah.
11, somewhere in there.
should we reach out to Chris right now and see what his schedule looks like for Monday?
That would be Monday, the 15th. That Zoom call's done at about 10 anyway, isn't it? 8:30 to 10 is what I have on
I
mine.
think so, yeah.
Can't imagine it's gonna take that long, so we could go 10:30.
Should we invite Terry Nelson to that?
I would love to do that.
It's an open meeting.
From Woodstock?
Yeah.
Because
It's not,
where he's in
no
that
secret.
field and whatever, it'd be nice to have somebody that knows a little bit more about.
If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna dial up Chris Hollingsworth right now.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's a good idea.
Hi, Chris. I got you on speakerphone. We're just wrapping up our meeting here. We're trying to put together a Zoom meeting with this finance person from Hometown Fiber. What does your Monday look like? The 5th, this next Monday, the 15th, for Zoom? That's an in-person executive committee meeting? No, we did it on Zoom. So you'd be available?
10:30?
10:30 or so, Monday morning, maybe?
10:30 to 11, probably, that'd be right.
Okay,
No. Would he be available at 10:30 for a special meeting, or do you want to go later?
You'd rather go 11 instead of 10:30, you're saying, Chris? 10:30 is fine. Okay,
Schedule 10:30 to noon?
Yeah.
Okay, 10:30, okay, well, that's
it's.
5 of us.
We'll check with Laura,
Hmm?
but she's the finance person working with Hometown Fire, so we'll check with her and see if we can set that up then for them. Okay.
Yeah, let's see what she's up to.
Very good, thank you.
That'll be the next thing. She won't be available.
Take care.
We're expected to be in person for.
If you can, yeah,
For which one?
for the finance meeting. We're gonna call a special meeting for it.
We'll come here.
And then
we'll-
she'll be
Then she'll be on video, unless she wants to fly in to Sioux Falls or something.
Yeah.
If-
Dan will give her a ride.
Sure, he's an Uber guy. I go very well.
He's the Uber travel guy.
So do we need a motion to set that special meeting?
I don't think that doesn't take action. Well, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have to advertise.
Yes, it does. So,
Let's go ahead and do that.
okay,
Make a motion to set the special meeting for 10:30 to noon on Monday, May 15th.
okay. Okay. moved
Doug, do you
to-
second that?
Doug did.
Doug, thank you. Okay.
And again, the 10:30 will work for Chris as well.
Yep.
I was gonna be advertised. Just like Steve does, yes.
Just like I normally put it out. I'll put it on the board, send it to all my people that I normally do meetings to.
Yeah, paper is the paper. Paper gets.
Paper gets it too. I mean, I don't necessarily have to do that every time, but
There's enough time doing that.
If you get it by noon today, you're okay.
I just normally just send it out to everybody and look, I don't put regular meetings in the paper, so.
No, noon today doesn't work for paper anymore. Now they're-
No, I thought they said that it would for some things,
Mondays are deadline.
Yeah.
for most things.
Yeah,
but
they
for-
said if I get it in before noon today, they could probably get it in the paper.
Okay, good.
If not, it's gonna go out to everybody that gets my agenda list anyway, so they'll see it. And it's posted. We post the meeting, and it's a special meeting, not an emergency meeting, so.
Want to make sure it's.
Yeah,
Right.
will be legal.
And will you all should reach out to Terry Nelson and specifically like.
Sure, absolutely.
And there might be some other people too that we might invite as well too. I know that Scott Eggers, with his involvement with.
Who?
Scott Eggers, he does satellite dish stuff, Sherry's husband. He works for.
I have no idea.
Company, they've got satellite receivers. NPIC, whatever they call themselves. But anyway, he's worked with the receiver dishes for cable, or for internet for years, so. I might reach out to them to see if we got time to stop and to share some ideas with us too.
Well, this is a finance meeting too, by the way. We're trying to figure out what we're doing.
Yeah, good point.
You know, I'm not getting it, I don't want to get into the minutia of trying to figure out what somebody wants to offer us or anything like that. We got to, we want to hear what she's got so we can make a decision on the 23rd. That's,
Finance part. Good point.
you know, but it's an open meeting. If they want to come, they're certainly welcome to. But I'll certainly let Terry know. He wanted to know if we were actually live today so we could watch it too. So he must be busy. Okay, so we got that motion and second all taken care of and
Accepted. We are adjourned. Thank you, Alex.
adjourn at 11:13. Thank you.